All right, let's dive into some of the most shocking true crime celebrity murder cases that rocked Hollywood. Barbara Colby was an American actress who was just a step away from stardom. She is best known for her work in television and film during the 1960s and 1970s. Born on July 2, 1939 in New York City, Colby began her acting career in the theater before transitioning to television and film. She made appearances on popular TV shows of the time, including The FBI, Ironside, and Medical Center. In addition to her television roles, she also appeared in films such as The Odd Couple, 1968, and Clutie, 1971. Sadly, Barbara Colby's promising career was cut short when she became the victim of a senseless act of violence. On the fateful day of July 24, 1975, tragedy struck actors Barbara Colby and James Kiernan as they were leaving an acting class in Palms, Los Angeles, California. As they made their way to their car in a parking area, they were suddenly shot. While Colby sadly lost her life instantly, Kiernan managed to provide vital information to the police before succumbing to his injuries. According to Kiernan's account, he did not recognize the two individuals who carried out the shooting. What makes this incident even more shocking is that it occurred without any warning or provocation. It was a common practice for Colby and her classmates to gather in the parking lot after their acting class and engage in conversation. Apparently, they were approached by two men in a light-colored van and were each shot once. Police said there was no attempt to rob the pair and concluded it was a random drive-by shooting or a targeted hit. The killers were never identified, and the case remains an open cold case. All right, folks, let's dive into the tragic story of Sal Mano, the Rebel Without a Cause co-star who met a brutal end near his West Hollywood home. This one's a real gut punch, so brace yourselves. On February 12, 1976, the 37-year-old Mano was stabbed to death just steps away from his apartment. The killer? A pizza delivery guy named Lionel Williams. Can you believe that? A random act of violence that snuffed out the life of a talented young actor in the prime of his career. Mano had already made a name for himself, earning 2 Oscar nominations for his roles in Rebel Without a Cause and Exodus. He was also about to direct his first film, but fate had other plans, and his life was cut short in the most senseless way. The details of the murder are chilling. Mano was stabbed multiple times in an apparent robbery gone wrong. Williams was quickly apprehended and convicted, serving 19 years in prison before being paroled. But of course, that doesn't undo the tragedy or bring Mano back. All right, folks, we're about to dive into one of the most infamous murder cases in LA history, the mysterious death of Elizabeth Short, also known as the Black Dahlia. On January 15, 1947, Elizabeth's body was discovered cut in half and completely drained of blood in a vacant lot in the Leimert Park neighborhood. The gruesome nature of the crime and the media's sensationalized coverage turned Elizabeth into the infamous legend known as the Black Dahlia. To this day, the case remains unsolved, with countless theories and speculation surrounding Elizabeth's brutal murder. On April 1, 1984, the world lost a true musical icon when legendary soul singer Marvin Gay was tragically shot to death by his own father. The incident occurred at Gay's parents' home in the West Adams neighborhood of Los Angeles after an argument between the two men escalated into a physical altercation. The following day, Marvin Gay would have celebrated his 45th birthday. All right, folks, let's dive into a dark chapter of music history that still sends chills down my spine. On February 3, 2003, the legendary music producer Phil Spector committed a heinous act. He shot and killed actress Lana Clarkson in his own home in Alhambra, California. Alhambra is a city in the San Gabriel Valley, just outside of Los Angeles, where Spector lived in a massive mansion. And on that fateful night, Clarkson, who had met Spector earlier that evening, ended up losing her life at the hands of this renowned but troubled individual. After a highly publicized trial, Spector was sentenced to 19 years to life in prison for the murder. And you know what they say? The wheels of justice turn slowly, but they do turn. Spector ended up passing away in prison just a few years ago. Okay, let's look into the mysterious circumstances surrounding the tragic death of the legendary Sam Cooke on that fateful night of December 11th, 1964. The brilliant musician was gunned down at the Hacienda Motel, supposedly by the motel manager who claimed Cooke had attacked her. But hold on, because there's a lot more to this story than meets the eye. For starters, Cooke had a woman with him at the motel that night who conveniently left with most of his clothing. Sounds a bit fishy, doesn't it? Now, the official story may be what's on the books, but a lot of people just aren't buying it. There's a whole lot of strangeness surrounding the events of that night, and some folks are convinced that the real truth has been buried. Nowadays, you can find a humble grocery store standing where the Hacienda Motel once stood, but the mystery surrounding Sam Cooke's untimely demise lives on. It's the kind of story that makes you wonder what really happened behind closed doors that fateful night. One thing's for sure, the legacy of this brilliant musician will never be forgotten. Okay, let's talk about the one and only Notorious B.I.G. He was a true king of the mic, a once-in-a-generation talent who left an indelible mark on the world of hip-hop. Back in '97, this rap legend was gunned down in a drive-by shooting outside the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles. It was a tragic end to a life that was just getting started. To this day, the murder remains unsolved, leaving fans and hip-hop heads alike wondering what could have been. All right, folks, listen up. We're diving into some serious hip-hop drama today. You may have heard about the wild case involving Suge Knight, the infamous music mogul, and the tragic death of his friend Terry Carter back in 2015. It's a wild ride, so strap in. Suge Knight, the co-founder of Death Row Records and a major player in the West Coast hip-hop scene, was sentenced to a whopping 28 years in prison for running over and killing his buddy Terry Carter. This all went down during some promotional filming for the movie Straight Outta Compton. Talk about life imitating art, am I right? Now, the details are a bit murky, but from what we know, there was some kind of altercation on the set, and Suge ended up following him to a local Burger King, where he plows his truck right into Carter, killing him. Crazy stuff, I know. Knight claimed it was self-defense, but the courts didn't buy it, and he's now doing serious time as a result. Brace yourselves, folks, as we delve into one of the most chilling and notorious crimes in American history, the Cielo Drive Manson murders. On that fateful night of August 8, 1969, the Manson family, a cult-like group led by the twisted Charles Manson, broke into a house being rented by the beautiful and talented actress Sharon Tate and her husband Roman Polanski. What unfolded next was a brutal and senseless act of violence that would shock the world. Tate, along with several of her friends and an acquaintance of the caretaker, were mercilessly murdered in cold blood. It's a harrowing tale that still sends shivers down the spine of anyone who learns about it. Buckle up, folks, because we're about to dive into a twisted tale of Hollywood's darker side. Ramon Novaro, the star of the epic film Ben-Hur, met a brutal and untimely end in his Laurel Canyon home in Los Angeles on October 30th, 1968. It's a story that reads like the script of a noir thriller. Two brothers, convinced that Novaro had a secret stash of cash, decided to take matters into their own hands. What followed was a horrific act of torture and violence that left the beloved actor dead. The crime scene was allegedly a gruesome one. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could such a celebrated actor meet such a grisly fate? Well, my friends, the details of this case are enough to make even the most seasoned true crime aficionado cringe. Needless to say, Ramon Novaro's life came to a tragic end that fateful day. It's a sobering reminder that even the brightest stars can fall victim to the darkness that lurks in the shadows of Hollywood. All right, folks, I'm about to dive into the wild and twisted tale of one of America's most notorious mobsters, Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. This guy was the epitome of the ruthless gangster, climbing his way up the ranks through a deadly combination of cunning and brute force. Now, on June 20th, 1947, Bugsy met a rather violent end when he was shot dead by a sniper while sitting in the home of his mistress, Virginia Hill, in Beverly Hills. To this day, the crime remains unsolved. leaving us all to ponder the mystery surrounding his untimely demise. Many believe Bugsy's murder was a direct result of the soaring costs of the Flamingo Hotel he had recently completed in Las Vegas. The project had become a financial disaster, and some think his partners in crime decided to take him out to recoup their losses. Others speculate that Virginia Hill herself was embezzling money, which ultimately led to Bugsy's downfall. Regardless of the specifics, one thing's for sure: Bugsy Siegel lived and died by the sword, leaving behind a legacy of violence, greed, and unanswered questions. It's a cautionary tale of the dangers of the mob life, and a reminder that even the most powerful can fall victim to their own hubris. All right, folks, keep focused as we dive into the captivating mystery surrounding the unsolved murder of Hollywood director William Desmond Taylor. This case has been puzzling folks for nearly a century, and I'm here to give you the lowdown. At 7:30 on the morning of Thursday, the 2nd of February, 1922, Taylor's body was found inside his bungalow at the Alvarado Court Apartments, 404B South Alvarado Street in Westlake, Los Angeles, a trendy and affluent neighborhood. A crowd gathered inside, and someone identifying himself as a doctor stepped forward, made a cursory examination of the body, and declared Taylor had died of a stomach hemorrhage. The doctor was never seen again, and when doubts later arose, the body was rolled over by forensic investigators, revealing that the 49-year-old film director had been shot at least once in the back with what appeared to have been a small caliber pistol, which was not found at the scene. And let me tell you, the list of suspects is a real who's who of Tinseltown. We're talking actresses, a former chauffeur known for faking a British accent, the works. But despite all the juicy details, this case has never been cracked. All right, folks, let's dive into the curious case of Bonnie Lee Bakley's tragic demise. This one's a real head-scratcher, let me tell you. Back on May 4th, 2001, poor Bonnie was shot to death right outside of Vitello's, a Los Angeles restaurant. And get this, her husband, the actor Robert Blake, was the prime suspect. Crazy, right? He was acquitted on the criminal charges, but then found civilly liable. Go figure. Now, Blake claims he wasn't even at the scene of the crime because he'd gone back to the restaurant to grab a gun he'd left there. Hey, I can't make this shit up. He actually said that. This case has got all the makings of a juicy true crime drama. Mysterious circumstances, a famous actor accused of murder, and a whole lot of unanswered questions. It's the kind of thing that really makes you wonder what the heck was going on behind the scenes. Anyway, that's the gist of it, folks. Bonnie Lee Bakley's untimely demise is still shrouded in mystery, but you can bet your bottom dollar there's more to this story than meets the eye. You know, I remember when the Menendez Brothers case first hit the headlines, it was a real media frenzy that captivated the nation. Jose and Kitty Menendez, a wealthy couple in Beverly Hills, were brutally murdered by their own sons, Lyle and Eric, back in 1989. The motive? Allegedly, it was all about the money. These two young men, who seemingly had it all, decided to take matters into their own hands in the most horrific way. They blasted their parents with shotguns right in their own home. And the trial that followed was a media circus like no other, with the brothers' lurid testimonies and claims of abuse playing out on national television. Both would eventually be found guilty and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. On June 12, 1994, Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman were stabbed to death outside of Brown's condo in Brentwood. Brown's ex-husband, O.J. Simpson, was eventually tried and acquitted of the murders, but you probably already knew that. This case captivated the nation and sparked countless debates about race, domestic violence, and the American justice system. Even today, over 25 years later, the O.J. Simpson trial remains one of the most polarizing and controversial legal proceedings in modern history. Nicole Dufault was a talented American playwright and actress whose life was tragically cut short. On January 27, 2005, a devastating incident occurred on the sidewalks of Manhattan's Lower East Side. Nicole, along with her fiancé and two other friends, were accosted and mugged by a group of 7 teenagers in the early hours of the morning. The group of 7 had already mugged a man for his leather jacket and menaced a girl at a subway station that same night. And when they came across Dufault and her group, They demanded money, snatching her purse and assaulting another member of her group. They turned and ran, but the group of 7 gave chase. As the group kept running, Dufresne stopped and confronted the attackers. "What are you going to do? You going to shoot us? Is that what you want?" she demanded. As she shouted those words, she walked up to Rudy Fleming, who seemed to be in charge of the gang, and looked him in the eye. Fleming reacted by pushing Dufresne in the chest with his left hand. Dufresne stumbled backward, then bounced back and shouted her question again. "What are you going to do? Shoot us?" Fleming pushed Dufresne a second time, and when she came at him again, he lifted his right arm and fired one bullet. The bullet struck Dufresne in the chest and exited through her back. Out of the 7 individuals involved, 3 of them were convicted of murder and sent to prison. The remaining 4, on the other hand, seem to have caught a lucky break and are facing much more lenient consequences. Daniela Perez started her career in acting at a young age, showcasing her natural talent and passion for the craft. She quickly gained recognition for her performances, captivating audiences with her looks, charisma, and dedication. She would go on to become a beloved actress who captured the hearts of many through her role in the Brazilian soap opera De Corpo e Alma. She had a promising career ahead of her, filled with endless possibilities. However, tragically, her life was cut short. It's a tragic and shocking incident that took the life of Daniela Perez, a promising young actress. At just 22 years old, she was brutally murdered by her co-star Guilherme de Padua and his then-wife Paula Nogueira Thomas. The motive behind this heinous crime stemmed from Padua's envy and frustration over not receiving the screen time he believed he deserved. Additionally, his wife's jealousy towards Perez and the love scenes they shared in the soap opera played a role in their sinister plan. On that fateful night of December 28, 1992, Perez was ambushed by the duo and met with a gruesome fate, suffering from 18 stab wounds that pierced through her neck, lungs, and heart. Padua and Tomás were convicted of only second-degree manslaughter and were released after serving 6 of their 19-year sentence. All right, let's talk about Susan Cabot. She was an American actress who made her mark in the entertainment industry during the 1950s and 1960s. Born on July 9, 1927 in Boston, Massachusetts, Susan had a unique and captivating presence on screen. Susan appeared in numerous films throughout her career, showcasing her talent and versatility as an actress. Some of her notable works include The Wasp Woman, 1959, Sorority Girl, 1957, and War of the Satellites, 1958. She had a knack for portraying complex characters with depth and emotion. She was also involved in a highly publicized scandal involving an affair with King Hussein of Jordan. This added to her intriguing persona and kept the tabloids buzzing. Sadly, Susan's life was about to take a horrible turn. On December 10, 1986, a tragic incident unfolded in the Encino neighborhood of Los Angeles. Cabot's son, Timothy Scott Roman, who was only 22 years old at the time, was involved in a horrifying turn of events. He was charged with second-degree murder for bludgeoning his mother to death with a weightlifting bar. At trial, Roman testified that he had awakened his mother, who then attacked him with a barbell bar and a scalpel. Roman seized the bar from her and beat her repeatedly on the head. He then hid the bar and scalpel and told police that a man in a ninja mask had killed his mother. Roman's defense attorneys claimed their client's aggressiveness was due to the drugs he took to counteract his pituitary gland problems. At the close of the trial, prosecutors were forced to change the charge to involuntary manslaughter, as no evidence had been presented at trial to support premeditation, which was required for a murder conviction. After just a brief 10-minute deliberation, Superior Court Judge Darlene Schempp made her decision and convicted Roman of involuntary manslaughter. This verdict came after Roman had already spent 2 years behind bars, awaiting his trial. As part of his sentencing on November 28, 1989, Judge Schempp ordered Roman to seek psychiatric counseling. However, there was a silver lining for him. He was given credit for the time he had already served in jail. With this credit and the completion of his probation period, Roman walked out of the courtroom as a free man. Yes, you heard that right. He walked out of court as a free man. It's an interesting case that highlights the power and responsibility, or lack thereof, that judges hold in our legal system. Gemma McClure had a promising career in the entertainment industry before her tragic and untimely death. She was a British actress known for her role as Carrie Skinner in the popular soap opera EastEnders. In addition to her work on EastEnders, Gemma also appeared in other television shows and films, further solidifying her presence in the entertainment industry. She had dreams of continuing to grow as an actress and had a promising career ahead of her. Sadly, Gemma's career was cut short at the hands of her own brother in 2012. In a tragic incident that shook East London in March 2012, Gemma McClure, a promising actress, went missing from her home. The community was left devastated when her body was later discovered in a local canal. The investigation revealed a heartbreaking truth. Gemma and her brother Tony had been involved in a heated argument that escalated tragically. The justice system took its course, and in January 2013, Tony McClure was found guilty of his sister's murder. He received a sentence of 20 years to life. Let's talk about the amazing career of Nita Blanca, a Filipino actress who made a significant impact in the entertainment industry. With over 50 years in showbiz, Blanca starred in more than 163 movies and 14 television shows. Her talent and dedication to her craft earned her recognition as one of the 15 best actresses of all time by Yes magazine. But sadly, her life would end tragically. On November 7, 2001, a tragic incident shook the community when Blanca was found brutally murdered in her car at the Atlanta Center in Green Hills, San Juan, Metro Manila. The details of the crime were chilling. She had been beaten and stabbed a horrifying 13 times. As the investigation unfolded, the prime suspect emerged, Blanca's own husband, Rod Strunk. Prosecutors alleged that he had hired a hitman to carry out this heinous act because Blanca had recently disinherited him from her will. The motive behind such a gruesome crime seemed to be rooted in financial gain, as investigators discovered that Blanca was worth an estimated $50 million. But if Blanca died before she was able to terminate her marriage, under the law, Strunk, being the legal spouse, would be entitled to a portion of his estranged wife's inheritance, even though Blanca's will stated that everything would go to her daughter. With things heating up in the Philippines, he fled to the United States to avoid prosecution. He now found himself entangled in a legal battle between the Philippine government and the United States. However, things didn't go as planned for the Philippine government. Their extradition request was denied by the U.S. court, leading to Strunk's immediate release from jail. It seemed like a stroke of luck for him, but unfortunately, it was short-lived. The Philippine government wasn't ready to give up just yet. They filed a second extradition case against Strunk in an attempt to bring him back and face justice. But before any further legal proceedings could take place, Strunk chose to end his own life on July 11, 2007 by jumping from a second-floor balcony of the Tracy Inn in Tracy, California. Barry Berenson was an American actress, model, and photographer. Born on April 14, 1948 in New York City, she had a successful career in the entertainment industry before her life was tragically cut short. Berenson began her modeling career in the 1960s and quickly gained recognition for her beauty and unique style. She appeared on the covers of numerous fashion magazines and worked with renowned photographers such as Richard Avedon and Irving Penn. In addition to modeling, Berenson also pursued acting. She made her film debut in the 1970 movie Cat People and went on to appear in several other films throughout the 1970s and 1980s. However, Barry Berenson is perhaps best known for her work as a photographer. She had a keen eye for capturing candid moments and natural beauty. Her photographs were featured in various publications, including Vogue magazine. But Barry's life took an unexpected turn on September 11, 2001. She was aboard American Airlines Flight 11 when it was hijacked by those terrorist cowards and flown into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. This devastating event claimed the lives of many innocent people, including Barry. She was the widow of actor Anthony Perkins. Anthony Perkins was an American actor, director, and singer. He is most notable for the role of Norman Bates in Alfred Hitchcock's suspense thriller Psycho. Pika Pika was a renowned Cambodian ballet dancer and actress who made significant contributions to the entertainment industry during the 1980s and 1990s. She gained fame for her appearances in hundreds of films and thousands of karaoke videos, becoming a superstar in Cambodia's cultural scene. Unfortunately, Pika's promising career was cut short prematurely. The shooting incident that took place on the 6th of July 1999 at Orasi Market in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, resulted in the tragic death of Pika. This incident gained significant attention and became one of the most high-profile killings in Cambodia's history. Despite its notoriety, no suspects have ever been identified or arrested in connection with the crime. Pika was shot by an unidentified male assailant while she was shopping at the market. Tragically, her 7-year-old niece was also wounded during the shooting. The severity of Pika's injuries left her in critical condition, fighting for her life. She ultimately succumbed to her injuries 7 days later. Her funeral attracted over 10,000 mourners, one of the largest attended ceremonies in Cambodian history. Ria Mitchell was an American film actress and screenwriter. She left a lasting impact on the silent era of cinema. In her early career, she fearlessly took on challenging stunts in motion pictures, earning her the nickname the Little Stunt Girl. With over 100 films to her name, Mitchell's talent and dedication were undeniable. Her journey began when she signed with the New York Motion Picture Corporation, making her debut in the captivating film The Colonel's Ward. From there, Mitchell continued to captivate audiences with her performances and willingness to push boundaries. In a shocking turn of events, Mitchell, who was also the manager of a large apartment house in Los Angeles, met a tragic end at the hands of a disgruntled houseboy named Sonny Hartford Jr. The details are chilling. She was strangled to death with the cord of her own blue silk dressing gown within the very building she managed. Justice was served when Hartford was arrested and later pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. In March 1958, he received a life sentence in prison for his heinous crime. Denise Morel, a talented actress, was born in Montreal, Canada on 3rd December 1926. She grew up in a working-class family with 7 children, where she developed her passion for acting. Her first television appearance was in 1955 on the popular series Beau Temps, Mauvais Temps. Over the course of her impressive 30-year career, Morel took on many memorable roles. However, one of her most famous characters was Dame Plume from the beloved show La Ribouledingue. Unfortunately, despite her success and contributions to the entertainment industry, Morel's life would come to an abrupt end. On the evening of July 17, 1984, a tragic incident occurred in Montreal. Morel had planned to visit a ground-floor apartment on Sanguinet Street that she was considering renting. The landlord had informed her that she could enter the apartment at any time as it was not locked. However, after visiting the apartment, Morel never showed up for a play in which she was scheduled to perform that evening. Concerned about her whereabouts, the police were alerted and began searching for her. Tragically, her lifeless body was discovered in the apartment the following day. She had been brutally beaten and strangled. What made this case even more perplexing is that there seemed to be no apparent motive for her murder. The investigation into Morel's death would remain unsolved for an astonishing 23 years. The case of the unsolved crime took a significant turn on August 8, 2007, when investigators from the Major Crimes Division of the Montreal Police made a breakthrough. They arrested Gaetan Bissonnette, a 49-year-old individual who had been identified through a DNA sample he had provided for a security job. His DNA matched that of the crime scene. On November 30th, 2007, Bissonnette faced justice and was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 20 years. The use of DNA evidence played a crucial role in identifying and apprehending the perpetrator, highlighting its significance in modern criminal investigations.